Welcome to the Economy Magazine. I'm Benjamin Chong Alfares with the top economic reports. Coming up, despite regional conflict, trade between Israel and its neighbors continues to boom, and government subsidies fail to sway Californians from watering their lawns. First, the headlines. Russia's economy grew by 0.8% from April to June, compared with output during the same period last year. The figure is slightly lower than the 0.9% annualized pace recorded in the first quarter. Russia's economy minister warned that Russia could slip into recession as growth continues to slide further from last year's disappointing growth figure of 1.3%, the lowest reading since the 2009 global financial crisis. And while the Russian-Ukrainian standoff continues, Western sanctions against Russia are likely to further weigh down Russian growth. Mexico on Monday formally ended the 76-year-old state monopoly on oil drilling and reopened the sector to foreign companies. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto signed a package of landmark energy reform bills he hopes will help kickstart Latin America's second largest economy. The reforms are meant to fuel growth, create jobs, and modernize state energy firm Pemex, whose oil production fell by nearly 1 million barrels per day since 2004. Though some foreign energy firms are eager to dive back into the Mexican energy market, however, high taxes, corruption, and drug violence tarnish its appeal.
Mexico will also attract major national and international investments, thus triggering the opening of new companies and job positions in the energy sector and other productive areas.
The European Union's foreign policy chief Catherine Ashton on Tuesday said the EU hopes to finalize a free trade agreement with Vietnam by the end of this year. Ashton discussed strengthening bilateral relations with Vietnam in an official visit to Hanoi. The EU is Vietnam's largest overseas market, making up as much as 19% of its global exports in 2013. Bilateral trade in 2013 increased 16% from 2012, reaching $33.7 billion.
The free trade agreement will increase opportunities for Vietnamese businesses, granting preferential market access for your exports to the European Union. Negotiations are making good progress, although an acceleration of talks will be required to complete the agreement before the end of the year.
France remained the world's most visited country with 84.7 million foreign visitors in 2013. Figures rose from 83 million in 2012 and stayed well ahead of the United States and Spain, which received 69.8 and 60.7 million foreign visitors each. According to the report by the French Economy Ministry, the biggest boom was seen in Chinese tourists, whose number rose by nearly a quarter. But while the number of visitors and the length of their stay increased, so did the number of visitors using apartment exchanges to save money. The Jordan Gateway Project, a unique free trade zone combining Israeli and Jordanian businesses, offers a bird's-eye view into what could be once ideological issues are set aside and economic development is promoted. Anthony Lesmy has the details.
As clashes continue on one side of Israel, to the northeast, just over the border in Jordan, a free trade zone is developing. The zone is driven by money from both Tel Aviv and Amman. The project now houses 9 companies from Jordan and Israel. Yuval Yacobi is the Israeli director of the Jordan Gateway Project, which was first initiated during the peace agreements of 1994, but really got its start in 2009. Yacobi travels weekly to the 7-square-kilometer zone.
In the last 4 years, the new investor, which is the Jaffa Port family, and later Mr. Shlomi Fogel, who joined in the end of 2009, joined together with the local investors, mainly the Dajani family, and they decided we will try and develop this area after a long freezing period.
300 people work in the free trade zone. The workforce is made up mostly of Jordanians from the area, making it a source of income for residents of the valley. But this project symbolizes more.
Now we become, to let the people here feel with the profit of this free zone. And this free zone is the one of profit of the peace agreement between Jordan and Israel. The economic, the peace work together. The peace is very good for both sides, But the war was very, very bad for all sides.
The area is booming. This place will be a plastics factory as well as an industrial imprints and logos place. Israelis take advantage of the workforce that costs 5 times less, as well as access to the Arab market.
Industrial park, and the products here are made in Jordan and therefore can be marketed all through the Arab world. This place has a special legal status of a free zone according to the Jordanian law, which means that by entering the raw materials to the park, you do not pay any indirect taxes. Also, the corporate tax is very low.
According to Jacobi, the area produces a volume of more than $200 million of trade, and it could be much higher in the future. The State of Israel has allocated $55 million to build a new bridge between the two countries dedicated solely to the free trade zone. Raed, the manager of a company in the free trade zone, explains some of the benefits in his view.
Here is the plan of the Israeli bridge. This green trees, what you saw there, is the border between Israel and Jordan. If we got the bridge here over the river, the trucks which is having goods from Haifa port, seaport, it will not stuck on the border waiting all the trucks which is coming to Jordan. It will be direct to this zone.
In 2 to 3 years, an Israeli area of 2 square kilometers is also set to emerge on the other side of the bridge. This way, employees and contractors won't have to stamp their passports, moving freely in the zone.
According to our meetings with the businessmen, most of the businessmen on this area is waiting the bridge opening to start invest in this area.
While violence continues to be a reality in the Middle East, the trade that happens in this zone may be a sign of something different.
This is from Syria. This is from Jordan. This is from Masr, and I'm from Israel. This is a very small world. God bless you all.
We met with Yitzhak Gal, a research fellow at the Moshe Dayan Center for Middle Eastern and African Studies in Tel Aviv, and asked him regarding the significance of this project.
This is exactly the kind of projects that were intended in, when the peace treaty was signed between Israel and Jordan. It is a classic Israeli-Jordanian cooperation, kind of a model of Israeli-Jordanian economic cooperation, because it combines the advantages of both sides. It enables Israeli companies to do production on Jordanian soil in combining Israeli technology with Jordanian more or less expensive costs, and more importantly, the Jordanian access to Arab markets, because Jordan in itself is not a large market. It's a market. It's an important market, but it is a small market. But its importance is as a bridge to the much more larger markets in the Arabian Gulf, in Iraq, which are really huge markets even for Israel. So this is the type of project that needs to be encouraged by Israel and by Jordan, and in fact, both governments encourage this project in spite of the political difficulties.
We also asked Dr. Gal whether Israel's military response to rocket fire from Gaza affected trade relations between Israel and its neighbors.
The bottom line is that the war in Gaza, in my view, has not impacted Israeli-Jordanian relations at all. This is for Jordan. Now, in relation to Turkey, there is a difference, or there is no relation at all between the political relations, which are very bad, and the economic relations, the trade relations, which are extremely good. It looks a little bit strange, but this is the situation. Political relations going from bad to worse, but trade is booming, though it a little bit changed. The trade between Israel and Turkey has changed a little bit. There is no more trade in security-related products, in all kind of armory, so trade is today completely civilian trade, but it's booming because there are economic interests, and the government allow this. Both governments don't interfere with this, and so Israel imports from Turkey a lot of products, and Israel exports to Turkey a lot of technological and other products. And also both governments encourage this transit trade through this route through Jordan. So with Turkey, relations are good, and I don't expect them to be impacted by this incident.
In the middle of one of the most serious droughts in recent history, Los Angeles is trying to encourage its citizens to reduce water use. But despite the city's water authority offering subsidies to homeowners to get rid of their lawns, most Angelenos continue to sprinkle their water guzzling grass. More in the following report.
There's a serious drought in California, but looking at this grass, you'd never know it. Sprinklers shower these lucky lawns with dozens of liters of precious water, much of it landing on the sidewalk. This kind of waste has long been discouraged, but now the city's water authority is putting its money where its mouth is and paying its citizens to ditch the grass. For Barbara and Larry, the subsidy was just what they needed to take the leap.
We've thought about it. We've had estimates on re-landscaping, but they were a little bit too high, so the rebate made it more of a reality. We were able to do it.
People forget we live in a desert.
Right, we live in a desert.
Why are we trying to make it the Midwest?
These days, grassless is beautiful, thanks to landscape architects who focus on arid climates. Alternative greenery like cactuses, hardy grasses, and other succulents can thrive on very little precipitation or with targeted drop-by-drop irrigation.
There's no water waste. The water's not running off anywhere. The water's not going up in the air and evaporating. The water's going exactly where the plant's going to need it. Okay, yeah, I think probably right.
Anne is an expert in grassless gardening, and she's had a banner year, even though it seems most Americans still want a shiny green patch behind that white picket fence.
The 50s, 60s, image of the traditional ranch-style home with the lawn, and there's something maybe in our childhoods or whatever about the way our house should look, and I think we just need to kind of move beyond that.
And move quickly. Even with the drought in full effect, LA households continue to dump some 60% of their water outside. This environmental scientist thinks the key to conservation is to make grass growers pony up to water their lawns.
We have to have 2 meters. A meter for indoor water use, where water's priced affordably, and a meter for outdoor water use that reflects water scarcity.
As long as it's cheap, Angelenos seem bound to keep the water flowing. Drought or no drought, water use in the region is up from last year.
And we continue our discussion of water in Media Watch with Daniel Roth. So Daniel, I hope that you ditched the grass.
I did. I already ahead of you.
Good, very good.
Staying in LA, actually, this water slide company called Slide in the City has been criticized for trying to set up a water slide in LA in the next month or so. 1,000-foot slide that people are saying, 2,000 people have already signed this petition saying, what are you doing? This is a declared emergency. Celebrities and politicians are coming together to say save water. And here's this company sending a slide through LA. Now, what they tweeted as a response was, our crew won't be showering or watering our lawns that day to conserve. Oh, and maybe we'll use water from a pool. So they're going to go ahead with it, I think is the point. But, this amid, during a summer when 400,000 people in Ohio were left without water because of pollution in Lake Erie, because the industrial treatment. And as summers are getting hotter and hotter, we're seeing that more and more people are being left without water. So we have climate change on one side heating things up and industrial waste on the other side dirtying the water. So we have heat, drought, and waste basically adding together to what the number of international agencies have said may result in a global water crisis for up to half or more of the population.
And it's really up to the government essentially to decide, this is where the buck stops, so to speak, and say, okay, forget about the subsidies. Fines. Start finding these people. Anyways, we gotta go here, Daniel Roth. Thank you very much for joining us. That's the end of our Economy Magazine, your daily source for economic and financial reports at I-24 News. I'm Benjamin Changlafaris. Follow us on Twitter and send us your feedback. Thank you very much.